So the police became a problem. It got kind of out of hand. You've got 400 teenagers in a parking lot. The street racing scene in the Chicago area was off the hook. I mean, we're called Second City. It's always competing with the coasts and stuff like that, and Fast and Furious. And I mean, it was crazy. Going into the late '90s, early 2000s, there'd be 400 plus cars in a parking lot. Everybody hoods open, trying to catch races. We'd get kicked out of one city, we'd go to the next city, and the next city. We had street racing spots from southern Wisconsin to miles and miles south into Illinois. I mean, it was crazy. Different scams left and right. The tennis ball spot, I'll give you I'll spot you out however far you can throw this tennis ball, but I crack from the rear, and it's just all sorts of different stuff. You'd pull up and you'd get ready to race, and you'd open up your door and you'd look down, and the people are like looking over, what is he doing? You'd launch right from there, get back in the seat and take off, and just anything you could do to get that little edge. And it was a crazy time to be around. It was awesome to live through that whole entire period. We always brought out fast cars, and we had that reputation. So the game was convincing people that you weren't all that, or hiding something. I had a cyclone and typhoon phase for a while, and I built up this crazy cyclone back in the day and made it to look pretty stock under the hood. 20G turbo looked just like the 16G that it came with. L35 heads on it that flowed better than stock, built motor, that sort of stuff. I went so far as to hiding a nitrous kit. You always hear about it, but you never really see it. But I actually plumbed it in the valley of the engine. The nozzles were coming up into the intake manifold from underneath. Hoses came in through the back of the intake manifold and went into, the firewall. And I hid a 5-pound bottle of nitrous in the passenger door. And, basically the only way you could tell that something was going on was the fact that that window would only roll about halfway down before it hit the bottle. So I couldn't open that window all the way. Back when I had a Supra, I had a 6-speed, Baltic Blue 6-speed Mark IV Supra that I was street racing. And, the LS1 guys or the LT1 guys at the time, they couldn't fathom how this 6-cylinder could be as fast, so it was easy to get races. But after a while, you get that reputation and, nobody will race you anymore. And I'm like, well, what do I do? How do I race these people again? So I took a bottle of nitrous and installed it in the trunk and went to these races and tried to get a race, and they wouldn't race me. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll take my nitrous bottle out. I won't race on nitrous now. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, he was doing nitrous this whole time. So I go in the back and I pull the bottle out and I'd be like, all right, I won't run nitrous. I'm running the same race, the same car, set up the same way, but now they think I've got less horsepower. So I was able to win a few more races going that route. And it was always a fun time to figure out how to catch a race and how to get a little extra money in your pocket. This was late 90s, early 2000s. We had quite a selection of cars that we'd go out with. Ethan Banks, we built him an SC300, which had, a 2J in it that we had converted over to GTE and single turbo and turbo 400 transmission. We had Supras to go out in. We had quite a collection of crazy street race cars that we could go out there and mess some people up with. So good times all through the late 90s and early 2000s. One of the big street racers back in the day was Mark, a white Supra. So we built this car at Sound Performance, and it was crazy. It wasn't the first car we made 1,000 horsepower with, but we made a lot of horsepower with it, and this thing was unbelievably fast. The races were for decent amounts of money, a couple $1,000. However, it was spread between a whole bunch of people, So basically, you'd have $50 to $200 on a race, and you're hoping to get it back. I mean, it wasn't about the money. It was about bringing something faster, about how to arrange a race so that you knew you could win. Most of the time we were out there, we were the ones with the big stick. We were the ones that knew we were faster. We were the ones that were spotting people out out or, giving them the hit or something like that and overcoming that. So the police became a problem. It got kind of out of hand. You've got 400 teenagers in a parking lot. There's a lot of personalities and there's some conflict. So we'd get run out of different places. I remember one time we were on the side of 90. There was a frontage road out there. And basically there's kind of really only one way in and out. We were setting up some races and the police showed up and they blocked us all in. And at that point, they wanted to be more of a nuisance than anything. They didn't want to take anybody to jail, but, they wanted to make sure it was difficult. So we were in a car and had a temporary tag in the back and you only get one, you don't get a front plate. So they wrote us a ticket for no front plate. And we're like, but wait, you don't even get a front plate. That's your problem to figure out. They just want to make sure that you have to show up at court and waste your time and make it as difficult as possible. Never ended up in jail, never ended up in handcuffs, but definitely run out of many, many places by the police and told to go home and never come back. There was a time, obviously, in this, this lifestyle. You get tickets and you have issues and you get problems. And there was a period of time where I didn't have a license. It was suspended and I still wanted to street race and go out. So I actually went out with my Supra and we were racing Gifford Road, really secluded spot. We could see the police coming from miles away. Usually we could get out of there. We went down to this race spot and unfortunately the police showed up and I didn't have a license and I was the only one in the car. And I'm like, what do I do? Oh my gosh. So I'm like, nobody's going to give me a ride. I'm like, I took the key for my Supra off my keychain and I looked around and I found a street sign. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to throw it right there, put the keys back in my pocket. Pretty soon, everybody was gone and I was the only one there with the police and they're like, hey, you need to leave. I'm like, well, my ride left. Well, can you call them? I'm like, yeah, I think we didn't even have cell phones at that time, how are you going to get home? I guess I'll walk. And they're like, are you sure that car over there isn't yours? And I'm like, no. It had a temporary tag on it. It was registered to, it was a fake temporary tag or whatever, They're like, let me see your keys. So I give them my keys and that key's not on there. It won't open that car. And they're like, all right, well, we're going to call you a cab. So it ended up costing me a cab ride home. And then the next morning, I got up early and took a cab out there and retrieved my key and looked around and made sure the police still weren't there. They didn't tow the car, thankfully, and jumped in the car and went to work. So pay those tickets. That's what I got to say. Pay those tickets because they will suspend your license. The street racing scene eventually turned deadly. I mean, the cars get fast enough where they're uncontrollable. The streets are unpredictable. Somebody kicks up a little rocks or gravel or something like that. It becomes bad. We started to see deaths left and right. I mean, the cars were way too fast for the street, and people were taking risks and you didn't know who you were lining up next to or how good they were at driving. So eventually we got out of the street racing scene, but apparently there still is a street racing scene out there. I've got friends that I used to race with back in the 90s, 2000s that are still out there going after it.
Today's video is brought to you by Avalon King, and right now Avalon King is in the middle of their 4th of July sale, and they've got some amazing deals, including up to 50% off a limited selection of their products and some very special deals just for VINwiki viewers. The best of all is their Armor Shield 9 DIY ceramic coating. I've used it on my cars for years and I love it because it's so easy to install. One person can coat an entire car in about an hour and a half, including the wheels and glass and everything else. It's so easy to put on. They give you an applicator, they give you a microfiber cloth, and it is a wonderful, wonderful product. One of these little bottles is enough for a small to medium-sized car, but order 2 if you've got something big. Visit them at the link in the description below for special offers for our viewers, and coat your car with their AS9 DIY ceramic coating. You can even coat your shower doors and things like that. It makes water, dust, dirt, everything just bead right off.